Welcome back, kids and coaches. I'm Caden Niemoff, co-host of the Briones Pickleball Podcast, and we are bringing you guys another podcast today. I would love to introduce to you guys the host of this amazing podcast, your guys' favorite, clearly, Jordan Briones.
Thanks, bro.
Absolutely.
Great introduction, Caden. Thank you. And the best co-host in the world here, Caden.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a good one for you today. We are going to be obviously bringing you some strategy advice. We have actually a really big topic that we're going to talk about, and that's really important from amateur levels all the way up to the pros. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to be talking about some other stuff. We're going to actually talk about, Caden, your journey as a pro player, and as the year winds down. Right, it's been a long journey for you, I'm sure, on the tournaments, on the scene and stuff like that. But we're going to talk about your journey, what you're working on, and what you have ahead.
Oh yeah.
So, and then we're going to talk about also nationals. We're going to talk about the results. Obviously, is big, and we have a lot of good stuff to get into.
A lot of wild stuff about nationals, but I mean, hey, how it should be.
Yep, there we go. Okay, well. Weekly strategy tip, we're going to start with that. And again, for all of you, if you're not following this podcast, or if this is the first time, Caden and I are instructors pretty much full time.
Yeah.
But, he's on the tour as well. But we are bringing you, we try to bring you the very best content here online, really from a lot of experience playing on the pro tour, and also just experience in teaching. So make sure you follow us on this podcast. And just really quick, if you haven't given us a review, however you're listening to this, give this a like if you're listening to it on YouTube, or give us a good review on Apple or whatever, Spotify.
Say something nice, will you?
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so let's get right into it. The strategy kind of section, what we're going to talk about today is what, Caden?
Shading.
Okay, so shading, other people may call it shifting or just following the ball. I think generally that's a very easy way to think about it. But just to start off, Caden, shading, why is it really important to shade? What is it? And then we're going to really dive deep into it.
Yeah, well, shading, obviously Jordan and I have talked about this in previous past, but as players, we are always covering something, all right? Now, obviously, we have the center of our sides of our court, but when the ball is moving around and it's moving left and right of us, we should always be shading or, moving with the ball, so we can cover holes and cover gaps that may be open for our opponents. So what are we exactly doing? Well, it's nothing crazy, but it is more important than we think. So when we do move around and we move that ball around, every time we move the ball to the left of us, there's a hole that opens up, and we need to make sure that we close that hole. How do we do that? Well, we do it by shuffling our feet, which is why I constantly tell people, believe it or not, there's more consistent movements and steps in doubles than you might take in singles. I think you might take more steps in doubles every now and then if you move well than you would in singles.
Yeah, really good. So we'll dive deep into that now. And again, shading, shifting, whatever you want to call it, basically, as Caden just talked about, we need to move. We're basically moving to cover the court, right? Because if you stand in one spot, which a lot of you listening and playing out there, you may play multiple points even up at the kitchen line, and you might be standing in the same spot even though the ball is moving around. And we see this, obviously we teach 2-day intensives, we see these things all the time, but at lower levels, right, you want to be or what we see is just a lot of statues, like a lot of cement feet. And again, if you're constantly doing that, you're going to be out of position. So we're actually moving to be in position.
Yeah. Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
I think also it's important to realize that in doubles, there's, that little bit of miscommunication between partners. If you guys are shading, it actually takes away a lot of the miscommunication and even the communication. So you guys don't need to talk as much to each other, who yours, mine, all that stuff. Like that. If you guys are shading, that's already covered, and whose ball is whose based off of where the angle of the ball is coming from. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. And I guess the biggest key thing, and we're going to talk about it in a bit, but the biggest key thing here, shading is really, or why it's really important, is that middle coverage.
Yep.
Right? So at amateur levels, what do we see all the time? We see balls going through the middle. We see a Grand Canyon there.
Oh, yeah.
And balls just constantly going through the middle. So when we're moving and shading correctly, that
take
middle,
some of that away.
Yeah. Well, that middle was never open.
Right.
So actually, we're gonna kind of look at a point and
oh, look, it's me.
Yeah, there we go. You and Mr. Pessa Teoni.
He looks really happy in this little still cam right now.
Yeah. But if you're not watching this, we'll try to break it down for you. Again, we're gonna kind of look at shading, why it matters, and then we're gonna kind of explain. So we'll watch this point in real time, and then what we're going to do is kind of break it down. Kind of slow motion, but we'll see here.
Did I lose this point?
Yeah, I think we'll see.
Hey, you know what? We're up 9-1. It's okay. We're up 9-1.
So this is at the Orchard here, and Caden.
This was last week.
Okay, Caden's playing with Pessa, men's double.
We won,
and we'll see here. Here we go. Got the serve, return and come in. Little reset from the transition zone, and Caden, I think a big part of your game that you've worked on is consistency. You can see those backhand dinks are working. And for those of you who are just watching this right now,
of course, and then I go and do something stupid.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement.
Hey, Caden, you're dumb.
But okay, so here we go. We are going to now break it down. But Caden, just from that, do you want to mention anything when you're at the kitchen line or anything like that?
Yeah. So. Obviously you saw me kind of go into the backhand cross-court dink pattern. But you'll notice the first thing, if you want to go back, the first thing that you notice that I do is I actually dink middle, on one of the first balls. Once we get up to the kitchen line, I dink middle so I can open up the sidelines a little bit more. Yeah. And then from there, I'm looking to kind of really push them out hard left with a cross-court dink. So, yeah, that's just the one thing that I'll kind of point out is that little bit of.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go to half speed here. This is right after you and Pessa kind of made your way to the middle, and just really quickly, even before that, I'm just gonna go back here. Now, a couple of things that I do quickly want to mention here. There's your serve and the return. I don't think it gets talked enough, and we could just kind of talk to this point, and those of you listening could also gain a lot of value from this, I think. That return is super important. Obviously, we talk about how the return game has gotten, I think, Caden, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it's gotten a lot more difficult over time because the serves are bigger and bigger.
The serves are bigger for sure.
So,
Well, and I don't even have a huge serve, right? But, I put enough on my serve where mishit it a little bit, and it's no longer a good return. So
yeah,
it's just kind of how it is nowadays.
Yeah. So here's Caden with the serve. On your return, one thing that you can notice, his name is Adrian here, is returning with that momentum, moving forward is super important to get to the net here. And there's a little stacking going on, but here's that first drop. And again, Pessa with that really, really good split step. We're just going to talk through this point, even if you can't see it. Making sure you have that wide base in that transition zone is super important. And you can see...
even I'm wide, and I'm not even hitting the ball.
Yeah, Pessa and Caden do a good job here of look at the stance. And again, we always talk about having your split step wide and then your hips open, facing the ball. So I think that's really important. I think a lot of players where they get into trouble is obviously they don't stop, they're not wide enough, and also usually they have 1 foot way ahead in front of the other. But
sure,
you can see here that this is how we actually hit balance resets.
Have to be in this position when you guys are hitting resets. If you guys are not balanced, I mean, and look how low we are. We know that ball's coming down at our body, at our lower body. So we want to be set low and balanced. And obviously Pesa is a master at this stuff. I mean, look at that positioning. It's perfect.
Okay. And then here we go. We got the reset here. And then that allows you guys to actually get in. So first ball here, and we're just going to kind of describe this though, but Caden is on the odd side of the court now, and you're hitting a backhand. Now, anytime the ball is near a sideline, and when we talk about following the ball, when that ball's near the left sideline, you're going to see typically all 4 players a little, shaded or in that direction of the ball. You can see Pesa, Caden's partner here, closer to that center line. Now here, Nico is going to be, he's a little bit shaded to the right, but I think the main key thing is when you're in front of the ball, Caden, you just got to make sure that you cover your line. So however much you need to move over,
right.
Is I think based on ability and things like that. What would you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, Nico's clearly not on the sideline, and here's the thing: he doesn't really need to be. One, he's a really good mover, and I mean, actually, look, he takes one more step there, but he doesn't need to be because one is probably trying to bait me there a little bit, and 2, if I were to go with, the shot that I have here, if I were to try and go down his line, it probably wouldn't be the smartest idea on my part. So he's kind of covering that line saying, hey, I have to watch this, but I have a pretty good feeling that it's not going to be coming down this spot.
Yeah, so we're going to play the rest of this point out here in slow-mo, but here we go. We got that ball, and Caden goes to the middle, and we're going to talk about this middle dink, which is huge at the highest levels, intermediate levels, but also even at lower levels. One of the things that one of the sayings, and there's nothing wrong with hitting cross court. There's nothing wrong with hitting towards the sidelines, but really learning to love the middle and utilizing the middle a lot. I think as you get into higher levels, that's really important. And why would you say that, Caden, as playing at the highest level? What do you think?
Playing at the highest level, well, good chances are usually middle is covered. So the way you can kind of open up middle is by dinking something middle and then dinking out wide. So what I'm doing here in this situation, and you guys can be thinking about this while you're playing. I mean, it's hard to say, okay, let me think about this shot while I'm playing in a game. But this is something that I strategically do is I dink middle so I can dink out wide and then possibly look for something to be aggressive on to attack middle.
Yeah, I like that.
But that's a simple thing that we use a lot to open up the middle, because otherwise, if you just try and attack middle, I guarantee you it's not going to be there.
Yeah, and you meant open up the sidelines, you mean?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. And just really quick, we can kind of see this. When the ball's in the middle of the court, and those of you listening, even if you can't see this, when the ball is in the middle of the court, we talked about shading and following the ball. You will see here that all 4 players are actually squeezed in, right? Mm-hmm. So you'll see all 4 players, you, Pesa, everyone is squeezing into that center line a little bit. It's like a little gravity pull.
Yeah.
From relative to the ball, because of what, Caden? Like if, let's say your opponent here tries to speed this up, where's the ball going to go when the ball's middle?
If the ball's sped up in the middle, ball, I guarantee you, is coming back middle.
Yeah, there you go. So, we kind of, when the ball is directly in the middle of the court, when it's bouncing and someone's trying to attack, we don't really have to watch our sidelines as much because of the angle. And the sidelines is very, very difficult, and it's a low percentage shot. So.
Right. Well, we also know sideline is not going to be anything with power. Right.
Yeah, because it's going to be out. So here we go. We're going to watch this next ball. So he goes back to your backhand, and then we're going to see everyone kind of shade over.
Yep.
So again, we got Pesa, your partner. So again, if you are the one hitting the ball, right, near the sideline, obviously we want your partner, or you would want your partner to slide cover the center a little bit, and then again, you could look at the opposing team here, and you can see the cross court player is shaded towards the middle, covering that. And like you said, Nico in this kind of this clip here, he's not too far shaded over to his right, but he's covering it.
He's covering it for sure.
Yeah. So here we go. We got a couple cross court dinks here, and we talked about how important that footwork is. And yeah, we're gonna start doing full breakdowns and things like that. But here we go. We're gonna stop it right here again. So this is again on the other side. So what we see in a lot of amateur level play, as the dinks are moving left and right, sideline to sideline, we see a lot of players just staying kind of in the middle of their side, right? And let's just talk to that really quick, Caden, about what do you think? I mean, as a more beginner player or a player that's still learning the game, I think a lot of times people think like, this is my side and then this is your side. So why is that thought process bad or not great as you move up in the higher levels?
Yeah, well, as you guys know, the ball is going to move you guys left and right, forward and back, whatever it is. At that lower level, I just don't think people see that kind of movement yet. I think I would say 3-0 to 3-5 pickleball can be very just kind of bang happy, and they like to hit the ball hard. Yeah. But as you get to a higher level, people are going to strategically move you, not necessarily with hard shots, but with softer shots to get you out of position, which will make things a lot easier for you. So I think the biggest difference that I see in like 3-5 and 4-0 is the 4-0 players are definitely a lot more comfortable and a little bit more strategic than those 3-5s, right? So the 4-0s can construct that point a little bit more and move you around to set up an easier ball, whereas the 3-5 is going to probably just try to attack something that they think that they would normally attack.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Clearly what we're doing here, right, is we're finding a pattern that we like where we've found advantages in being offensive. And I mean, clearly we're up 9-1, so we kind of had a strategy in working the dinks and opening something up. And then when we found the right opportunity to attack on maybe a little bit more of a dead dink, and Adrian actually is a good dinker, but I was able to kind of find good offense off of speed ups off the bounce and in the air. Maybe not necessarily these first couple balls, but as soon as I can find something to attack with, an opening like this, this is what I like to see.
Sure. And then, just on the fact of shading again, we see, as the ball is near that sideline, Caden is covering that middle with his forehand. We got your partner covering line. So kind of thinking about it too, maybe as a gravitational pull or something. If everyone's just following the ball correctly, this is what typically you're going to see. And we don't have to go over every single shot, but as the ball moves around, you're going to see there's movement with all four players. So we just wanted to talk about that. And again, I think that covering the middle, let's just go over that really quick, Caden, because I think that's really important. And I might go back here. Let's just talk about this position here.
Yeah.
So who has middle covered? And this is one of the biggest questions that we get asked. Obviously, how to cover that middle, and most players, right? Most people kind of just do that forehand takes the middle, or they have that kind of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess in this situation,
Caden, it would be.
So Caden's a right-hander playing with a left-hander who covers the middle. Well, the forehand is gonna always cover the middle at that point.
Bingo.
But let's talk about putting forehand or lefty and righty aside. How do you do that? How do you recommend that?
So as you can tell, I'm covering a good amount of court here. I'm like right at the center line, and I'm kind of leaving my own sideline open. There's a reason for that, all right? Adrian here is hitting really good slice dinks, but let's say he did want to kind of give us a ball with a little bit more speed, a little bit more pace. The two easiest spots for Adrian to attack here is going to be up Pesa's line, which is up Pesa to the backhand side of Pesa, or to the middle. All right. So being that Pesa has to already cover the sideline, I'm going to help Pesa out by covering the middle. All right. The one ball that Adrian probably couldn't hit hard with pace is that ball cross court.
It's cross court.
Right. Yep. So for me, I'm sitting here and I'm opening up the court, and I know after I hit my shot that I'm going to have to close and cover my shot, because if I don't, I give him a middle opening that he can now attack.
Yeah, really good, Caden. And I guess another way to think about it, if you're listening and you're not really seeing this, again, regardless, if your opponent has the ball near a sideline, right, when the ball is close to the sideline, someone has to cover that line in front of the ball, and someone has to cover the middle. So no matter if it's forehand or backhand, I like to say this another way: the more cross court you are from the ball, the more responsible you become for the middle.
Absolutely.
So that's a really easy way to think about it. But whether it's your forehand, whether it's your backhand, the wider that ball goes, and if it's in your opponent's court, you gotta have that responsibility there.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Well, I think it's also something to note that, let's play a little game of hypothetical. You know, if this ball goes down to my sideline, right? Let's say it goes over this way to the right. Nico's going to come and close, and Adrian now and Pesa would now have to cover middle, right? So let's say that ball is still on this side, but now it's over here.
Yeah.
Right? I would be covering my line, and Pesa, whether he was a lefty or a righty, would have to close and cover my middle.
Yeah. So really good stuff. But either way, again, if you are a player that's still learning court coverage, and let's just say you're a player that is just finding a lot of balls going in between you and your partner, one easy thing to do is start following the ball. Make sure you're moving your feet, and even just taking, and Caden, a lot of the times too, I think a lot of people think you have to do these big movements.
No.
We're really only talking about a shuffle or a step or two.
It's very, very subtle.
To the right or to the left. But the thing is that little shuffle goes a long way.
It does. It really does. It is very subtle movement. Like I've noticed, like when I work with a student, like one-on-one, right, which means I'm hitting with them.
Yeah.
More oftentimes than not, I'm moving them around and running them around, and all I'm doing is hitting my ball, moving with it, and they're giving me the ball exactly where I want it.
Yeah.
And they're like, how are you moving me around like this? It's not that I'm not moving and they're just hitting the ball back to me. It's the fact that I know what's the easiest spot for them to go based off of where their body position and everything is, right? So once I hit my ball to the right, I know the easiest spot for them to go is right in front of them. So I'm moving myself with the ball to the right, so I have a ball right in front of me instead of having a ball to my right once they hit their ball back.
Yeah. Really good, man. Really good. Well, that was, that's our little strategy segment. Again, shading, really important. You keep it really simple, following the ball.
Yeah.
But
now you see me, now you don't.
Yeah, all good players. If you're not moving when the ball is moving, then that's something that you really need to look at. And I really encourage you all to go out there and film yourself.
Hey, why not? That'd be cool. I think you should too.
Yeah. Film a game or two. Okay, this is my recommendation. Film half a game, film a few points, and see as that ball's moving around. Are you standing in one spot?
See if you actually do it.
or you'll be surprised. Maybe pleasantly surprised, and most likely the opposite.
Yeah, probably.
But go film yourself, see what you're actually doing, and I think that'd be a big tip for you. And also on that, if you would like a virtual coach, we are part of this amazing app called My Pickleball Coach. So link is in the description. But if you want to send some of your match film and some of your footages in, and then we could kind of analyze it and start to work with you on a one-on-one kind of basis. Our team, the Briones Pickleball team, Caden's going to be on there. And, I'm doing some reviews on there. So we got a good team. If you want to, kind of send some videos in, go check that out. Go check that out as well. It's in the description, and we can give you immediate feedback on your game.
Yeah, and you know what? Talking about team, we would also like to thank our sponsors, Selkirk Sport.
All right.
The best paddle company in the game of pickleball.
All right. Thank you, Selkirk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you, Water, for being my sponsor today as well.
All right. H2O, if you're a beverage company out there, you want to sponsor this podcast, let us know. Okay. All right. So there's that. Last thing, before we get into a lot of really good stuff, we're going to talk through kind of Caden's journey, pro pickleball journey today. And you're going to get a lot of insight on tournaments, preparation. We're going to talk about partnerships. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about a lot of things, and maybe the mental game, I think.
Oh, for sure. The whole shebang.
Yeah, the whole shebang here. If you play tournaments currently, or you have a lot of questions on strategy, how people think, we're going to get into a lot of stuff today. So before we get into that, I just want to mention, if you enjoy our videos, and again, we do weekly videos that we release, instructional videos and stuff like that, and you want to train with us, one of the things that we offer is obviously our 2-day intensives. Come to train with me or Caden. A very, very small group, 4-to-1.
4-to-1
ratio. So
ton of fun.
Go check that out. That's all I gotta say. About that. If you really want to step up your game, and the biggest key things that most players now, I've been doing a lot of these now, and Caden is as well. But you don't know what you don't know. That's number one.
It's true.
A lot of players come in, and the unfortunate part, it's actually for some players, is they come in and they've played years and years and years of pickleball, developing years and years of bad habits.
Yeah.
And they don't really realize that until they come and see us, and then they can start to work through, because you really don't realize what you're doing, right? I mean, even in my game, that's why I kind of record and watch myself, like where are my holes, and we're gonna talk about how the different things you, Caden, have been working on.
For sure.
Okay, so if you like to sign up for an exclusive 2-day training experience, a very small group with players your skill level, go ahead, check the link below.
Really is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, we'd love to work with you.
We would.
So on that, Caden.
Yeah.
On that, I want to talk about a little bit of. So you went pro or started playing tournaments at what year?
Last year. So fully 2022. I played some kind of 2021, but it was kind of just the ones that I could drive to or, make work. So I probably played like 4 tournaments in 2021. 2022 was like my first year of playing pro tournaments kind of a little bit more consistently. And then this year I was kind of full time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and just working with you, Caden, I think the past, I don't even know how long it's been, almost coming up a year or so.
Yeah.
I think your game has definitely developed. Coming from somebody that has really worked on their game, obviously taught a lot and had to learn a lot of things, because you're not coming from tennis like most players. You're actually coming from baseball or other sports. But what are some things in this past year that you think that you've actually improved on?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
I would say the biggest thing for me is consistency, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the pro level is incredibly consistent in almost everything we do, right? We all have good days, we all have bad days, but when you look at the top 5, I don't think you can ever really say that those guys have that many bad days. And so for me, last year compared to this year when I was playing tournaments, last year, I really only got to train or play like once a week, maybe twice a week if I was lucky. And so one of the biggest thing that's, helped me out the most this year has just been me being able to get the repetition that I need to be more consistent. So first things first, off the bat, just hitting way more balls than I normally would. Right.
And how would you do that, Gator? How do you hit up more balls?
Well, drilling, playing. I started doing kind of some brain training work to help with my visualization. But I would say I drill, if I can, twice a day, usually.
Oh, are you? That much?
Oh yeah, I drilled twice yesterday, and before nationals, every day that I was here, I was playing twice or drilling and playing. I mean, it's a pretty fair combination of I try and play as much as I can. Like anytime someone invites me to a game or drill session, I will, if I have time for it, and I'm not doing anything, I will always say yes.
Okay, and those of you watching here, if you're not drilling, something to really think about, and we talk about this all the time, getting the reps in, getting the touches in, and we talk about this a lot because a lot of players are actually trying to improve, but what happens is they're not getting the reps in to improve,
right?
And then in the rec games that they're actually playing in, they're not getting the shots,
right,
to do that. So that's why real focus drilling and practice is what really will move the needle when it comes to improvement. So
yeah, I also feel like one of the biggest steps I took forward this year in pickleball was my IQ for pickleball. Solely based off of the fact that I think, well, I mean, you can tell me this too, but back when we used to go play in Concord, it was never the fact that I wasn't as good as everybody else. I think everybody just kind of knew oh yeah, he's kind of sporadic in a way, you know what I mean? Either he's hitting these, crazy shots and they're all dropping in and he's playing really well, or the kid can't make a third shot drop, or he has a dink that he should be dinking, but instead he's trying to roll it for a winner, and instead it's getting countered for a winner. So one of the biggest things that I've improved on this year is really focusing on what balls I like to attack, what balls I'm really strong attacking. And if I don't get that ball, then I should be looking to be playing the smart ball and, maybe being a little bit softer and a little bit lighter and maybe not attacking as much as I probably used to.
Yeah.
Which means, okay, yeah, sure, maybe I'm a little bit less dangerous, but also at the same time, I am more dangerous because I'm making the smarter shot. And when I'm getting the right opportunity, now they're going, oh, shoot. You know what I mean? So I'm playing smarter pickleball in terms of waiting for the right opportunity to attack and finding myself in a strong position where I am attacking, I'm ready for the counter, instead of saying, oh, here comes an attack, and if it comes back, I'm screwed. If it doesn't and it's a winner, yay, I'm using my shots more as setups and really giving myself the right opportunity instead of just hoping and praying that something magical happens.
Yeah, and I think that as you all are watching and listening as well, pickleball IQ, I think it's huge. One of the things, and that's actually something we're going to get through later on in the show. I'm going to ask about the top level players, but Caden's playing on the PPA, he's playing on the APP, so obviously he faces the top players in the nation, in the world right now, so he has a lot of experience. But before then, Caden, let's talk about a little bit your game, because I've even seen your game evolve a little bit over time. Or I mean a lot, but even in this past year, we were talking about it a little bit in the car. But what are some of the things now that you're working on in your game specifically to get you from where you're at, and then also kind of where you want to go? Because as a pro, you have all the shots,
right?
You've developed a lot of things. You talk about how your pickleball IQ is increasing. What are those? Let's do one, two, or three main things that you think that so like a strategy or just a mindset, and maybe a new is there any new shots you're working on?
Yeah. So for me, my footwork is a big part of my game. When I've had good days of pickleball when I'm really moving my feet well, and I've also had days where maybe I don't move my feet as much or as well, and my day can still be good but not as good because my footwork will either hold me back or push me forward. So for me, it's just a matter of always feeling comfortable enough to move my feet, and if that means I miss a dink here every now and then, but staying steady with all of my shots, because of my footwork. I can be whoever I want to be as a player based off of my footwork. And that's one thing that like I've really had to kind of work on this year with tournaments, because it's so easy to go into a tournament and just say, oh, like, don't miss. You want to be consistent. You don't want to do anything too crazy. And, the more I'm kind of just like sitting in a position and trying to be stable, that's just not my type of game, so I really need to make sure that like I'm moving my feet, I'm causing a little bit of chaos. My dad has this term of, being more of a pocket player and being a dancer player. I'm definitely more of a dancer. I need to move around. I need to, to be smooth and elegant and moving around. So I'm, playing my game, and that's where I feel like I'm most dangerous. But I also have been working on trying to be a little bit more aggressive with a backhand. So most players you'll find can easily find power with their forehand. For me, actually, I have very effortless power with my backhand too. So I've been working a lot on kind of like a little backhand speed up, because you'll see a lot of tennis players come into pickleball with two-hand backhands that are now, starting to flick and speed up with their two-hand backhands. I'm not as fortunate. So I've actually kind of been working on a little one-hand speed up. Okay. And it actually catches a lot of people off guard. People don't usually expect you to attack with a backhand, which is really cool. So I've been finding some good results with that as well.
Yeah, actually, me and Jordan Yeager actually did a podcast, and one of the questions that I got asked was, what is one of the shots that I see that is going to just keep becoming more evident and keep, progressing the game. We talked about how the game's getting faster and all that thing, but I talked about basically more attacking from the backhand wing. Yeah. And that being said, are you, Kaden, and I know me and you have talked about this, but are you also working on currently some two-handed stuff, or where is the two-handed thing? Because you're not coming from tennis,
right?
But like, where do you see two-handed shots come into play? Obviously we see it, right? But in your game, is that something that you're working on, or you're still experimenting with?
I'm definitely still experimenting with it. My dad, who lives in the Bay Area, loves and is fully behind the two-hand backhand. So he tells me all the time, oh, we should work on that two-hand backhand. And obviously you have a great two-hand backhand. So I definitely see the benefits of it. I definitely can see how it will take over this game a little bit more within the next couple years. So I definitely have been experimenting with it. I haven't fully grasped the concept yet to the point where I'm comfortable using it in tournaments and whatnot. But you definitely, if you were to watch me play some rec games, I definitely I mess around with it every now and then.
All right.
And
nice.
Sometimes I'm like, holy crap, I'm a god. And sometimes I'm like, what the hell am I doing out here? Like, I don't have a two-hand backhand. This is stupid. So
okay.
You know.
And then one of the things actually in the car, last thing I kind of want to bring up, one of the things that you said that you're working on in your game, or you've been kind of just thinking about, is your transition.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, and everyone here, right? Everyone's at a different level. If you're listening to this, right? Whether you're a 3.5, 4.0, we're talking about Kaden at the top level, trying to break in the top level, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But what about your transition game have you noticed change, and what are you working on today? And let's just talk about just that in general.
Yeah, well, the transition is so much more important than we think, right? I mean, if you can't transition to the kitchen line, you can't get yourself there. So one of the things that I've been kind of working on a lot is just slowing myself down through transition. It's especially since I'm such an aggressive player, it's very easy for me to kind of hit a third shot drop and then kind of crash on it and hope that I get something a little bit higher and juicier. But when that doesn't go, as well, I also remind myself to just take it easy and to move through the transition zone at my speed, so I don't ever feel rushed. And then from there, I can kind of move myself through the transition and then get myself to the kitchen line. The difference between these top pros and these other pros at the end of the day is these top pros are getting to the kitchen line 95% of the time, you know? So for me to say, hey, I won 2 quick points off of me kind of quickly going to the kitchen line and getting a high ball to attack, you know, I should be thinking more about the percentages. And I have been thinking more about the percentages of, hey, like I would rather get myself to the kitchen line 95% of the time and win 85% of those 95% of those points. But
yeah,
at what cost do I lose, you know, these little quick speed ups that I get, that, you know, these quick put away and these quick points. I think it's good to get these quick points every now and then.
Yeah.
But if I'm not getting that ball, I shouldn't be rushing myself to the kitchen line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you are rushing yourself to the kitchen line, take your time. Hit a good 3rd shot, hit a good 5th shot. If you need a 7th shot, go for it. You know what I mean?
Sure,
you don't ever need to rush yourself there.
Yeah, and obviously Caden here is talking about being really vulnerable with his game and what he's working on, but also we're talking about the top level, right? Caden, you're in your game, right? Everyone has good resets, and that's the thing about at the level that he's playing, right? Everyone has good resets, good dinks. You know, everyone has good shots. It's that decision making and kind of like going through the scenario really quick. You know, at times you'll get some free points, like you said. You're coming through the transition, maybe a waist high ball or something. Then you're, you know, because you have good hands, you're attacking, and he may get free points here and there. But again, you know, maybe you thinking a little bit more percentage wise, like how many points are you actually winning?
Right.
And can you convert more by resetting the 5th or 7th so that you can get to the line and potentially win more higher percent points at the line?
Yeah. Right.
So, all right. So really good. So wins and losses, Caden, I want to talk about kind of what are maybe throughout the year, 2023, what's maybe your best win, start positive, okay? Or just, you know, and then your toughest loss or a loss that you learn something.
Yeah.
Right. I think that, you know, even for those of you watching, when we're playing games, when you know, we're practicing or whatever, even in tournaments, when you lose, one thing that you can take out of it is at least trying to grow from it instead of being frustrated. I mean, I remember when I was playing tournaments, it could get frustrating, very difficult. But biggest win, let's talk about that. And then right after that, we'll talk about a loss that you maybe was hard, but you learned something.
Yeah, I think the most recent win that I can account for, that obviously I think has the most meaning for me right now, and that I've been thinking about a lot, was my win in Chicago, in the Chicago Open against John Sincola and Stefan of Warnay. It was a great win. I mean, obviously those guys are partnered up together on the 5s right now on an MLP team. So for me, I was just like really rewarding to kind of beat an MLP male team. And I mean, it's not like I haven't beaten guys on MLP teams before. I mean, I've beaten guys who are in Premier, and I've beaten guys who are in Challenger. So for me, just to like play 2 guys who are on the same team and that compete at MLP together, like that was super rewarding for me. And I won that one with Jack.
Yeah.
We won it in straights. You know,
shout out to Johnson Cola, by the way.
Oh yeah, love that
Great
guy. Really, John really is, I mean, the definition of quality. I mean, he's a fantastic pickleball player, even better human being off the court. And so I just like winning that match. Like, I know that's not how they wanted to kind of start their day. That's how we wanted to start our day. I think you never want to go out into a tournament and say, oh, we have no chance here. And obviously, I mean, knowing myself and knowing Jack, who's my partner, I mean, I know that we're capable of going out there and beating anybody we want as long as we play well. So I would say that was probably the most rewarding win for me, especially, well, it's kind of a backhanded good and bad, but I mean, we beat them that day and they ended up winning the whole tournament. You know what I mean? They came back and won 8 matches in the back draw to come all the way back to gold, and then they ended up winning gold, right? So It's like a woo, let's go, like we beat the gold medalists, and it's also like we beat the gold medalists.
Well, and that's
how did we not
Yeah.
How
And
how
that-
are we not winning the gold medal?
And
then?
that's APP
You know what I mean?
when they have the
Right.
still have the backdrop.
For sure, right? And I mean, I would rather have the back draw anyway. But I mean, like that's like you don't beat someone and then usually see them end up winning the whole tournament. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Okay, cool, man. So
definitely a cool thing, and also very upsetting thing as well.
All right.
Being that I'm very competitive. So
Okay. So there goes the win. What about tough loss? Or not even just tough, but either really tough loss or the loss that you really learned the most from. I mean, you've even played the Johns brothers.
I have.
I mean, once or twice this year.
I have. I've played them most recently in Cincinnati. I wouldn't say that was my toughest loss. Only
But I mean, it's something to even maybe what you gather and learn from. Or let's talk about that. I think that's really cool.
yeah.
You played with who were you?
Michael.
Playing?
I played with
Lloyd.
Michael.
So you guys got on center court. And
Yeah.
You got to play the Johns. What, second round or first?
Second round. It was the round of 16.
So I actually like to ask you about that.
32 maybe. I don't.
What
know.
did you obviously didn't perform your best, but obviously top team in the world, right? What do you think that? I don't know. How is it playing them, and how do you go into that match, and what do you learn from that?
Yeah, it was a cool match to kind of play. We were in this big kind of like tennis dome in Cincinnati, and I gotta say, for being the underdog, everyone was still rooting for Ben and Colin, and I'm like, how the heck are you guys?
Are they?
Yeah, it was crazy,
Oh.
man. It was crazy. I literally I thought like maybe they'd be like, oh, like let's go other team, because like like we would love to see an upset today. Every time, woo! Every time I hit a shot, I was like.
Really?
It was so odd. Yeah, like I've never. I mean, it happened kind of in Kansas City too, but that's because I was playing Dylan, and Dylan's like Kansas City. He's bigger in Kansas City than
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is. You know what I mean? But it was weird that like everyone was kind of rooting for just like the guys that they knew, and I was like, oh, that's so strange. Like if that were me, or like in the in the crowd, I would totally be rooting for these other guys. But I would say the biggest thing is like I was always comfortable at the kitchen line. I just feel like we never gave ourselves an opportunity. We never gave ourselves opportunity to always get to the kitchen line, and that's where like one of the main things that I've focused on is like realizing, hey, like instead of like always trying to be aggressive and always like know when to slow it down and know when to be aggressive, right? So
yeah.
pick and choose your times for when you're going to be doing something. Every hands battle that Ben tried with me, every ball he sped up at me, I beat him. I'm not saying I'm better than Ben Johns, but I'm saying I'm comfortable, right? I'm not
Sure.
in that match going, oh my God, these guys are just like in a different realm, I mean, obviously, clearly with their dominance, they are. But when I'm playing them, I'm not thinking to myself, holy crap, I don't belong here. Like I shouldn't be playing in this right now.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of executing what you need to execute to get those points to go your way,
Yeah.
And
Because
so
that's really good, man. Yeah, we'll talk more about the Johns in a second because I do want to get your feedback. But okay, so biggest takeaway there was I guess if you could sum it all up.
slowness and steadiness.
Okay, all right. And then now let's talk about the loss that you remember or that you learned a lot.
Yeah. This one's also from Johnson Cola. So handed out a great dub and handed out a great loss. But,
Okay.
this one was Cincinnati Open. This is where I had that like famous behind the back shot.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that one was against Johnson Cola and Brendan Long. That was Jack and that was our first tournament together.
Yeah.
With me and Jack, and we didn't really have any expectations for the day. We just kind of were like, hey, like this is our first tournament together. Let's just go out there, cover each other's angles, and just play ball. Like we'll figure it out throughout the day. Had a good first match against a good team, and then we had Johnson Cola and Brendan Long, who were the 3 seed that day, and we ended up losing in 3. But one of the biggest takeaways that I got from it was if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I will say they did a very good job of kind of making adjustments and doing things to kind of get us out of like that strong spot that we were in from game one, because we killed them game one. It was like 11-4, right? Then second game, they killed us 11-4, right? And then third game, we lost 11-8. But like,
So the ain't broke, don't fix it. So how are those swings then, or put that into perspective? So what did you so you change? You're saying you might have changed strategies. We second game.
We let them change strategies on us, right? So like first game we were very aggressive. We kind of came out the gate looking to attack first. Maybe hitting a couple dinks and then looking to be aggressive on dinks that they weren't putting in good places. So we were very aggressive game one. Very aggressive, and we were countering well and everything like that. And then in game two, they kind of just slowed it all down. And so we were having a hard time like reading their speed ups a little bit more, because now they were thinking with us and then attacking us because we couldn't really attack anything. So we just started to slow everything down and they were attacking us and we just felt kind of lost. And then in the third game, I think they had us at the switch like 6-1. And Jack and I ended up like talking about it, and we were like, hey, we should be more aggressive. I don't know why we're letting them attack us. So at 6-1, we started to kind of crawl back, and it was like 10-8, at the end of the day. And then on 10-8, they hit a third shot drop, and I went to speed it up on the fourth, and the ball didn't come up. And I whiffed on it. And I was like, what the hell? So I was like, okay, well, anyway. And they were like, point, game, and match. I'd, dab them up and whatnot. And I pick up the ball, and there's a crack in it.
Wait, and they didn't replay it?
No.
Really?
No. And so I was just like, okay, well, this is stupid. So I just stepped on the ball, and I threw it away. But then, like, someone came up to me after and was like, you should have showed that ball to the ref before you like dabbed everyone up and called game.
That was game point? Mm-hmm. Wait, did you whiff miss the ball?
I
completely
swing and a miss,
and it was just on your fourth shot bouncing.
Yeah, and obviously everyone who was watching it, commentators were like, "Oh, well, that's an interesting way to end." I literally I swung and missed at this ball. I'm like,
surprised you didn't say anything. But
I know now, but it's just like, wow, that's wild. Yeah, so
yeah,
and so tough loss, right? Totally abandoned the strategy. Found the strategy again, had it work, obviously came close to, making the comeback. And then obviously on the game point, you have something here that you can make a point on and possibly keep playing. And I didn't. So that was probably I
like that, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. And for those of you listening too, I think that's really good advice, and I just remember when I was playing a lot of tournaments too, it is kind of easy. And well, for me, maybe it's a mental thing. When you do win that first game, to kind of relax or not be as aggressive, because okay, I got this game. Now I'm going to be more consistent for whatever reason.
Right. It's true.
But so or the latter. Maybe slowing it down is on the flip side could be what's working. But yeah, I think that's really good advice. Doing what is working and then shifting when necessary.
Yeah.
So that's really good. I got a question for you here, Caden. Talking about the top pros and things like that. Obviously, Caden's on a tour all the time and things like that. But what do you think, and maybe you can break this down into very, very simple things, but what do you think separates the top pros, so we can say top 50, to the top 10? We'll go that. So, because we just talked about how everyone really has all the shots, really, right? We talked a little bit about consistency, but what do you think? What's that separation like? Why is there a gap there? I mean, obviously we see the winners win all the time, but at least the medalists, we see the same medalists over and over. So what separates that medalist crew with the top 10 to 50, 100?
I think the biggest difference is just the strategy and pattern. One thing that I took away from playing Kansas City this year. And trust me, like I played one event in Kansas City. I got a good win against Rafa Hewitt and Johnny Goldberg. And then I played J-Dub and Dylan, and we lost like 3-7.
Who was that with?
His name's Ivan Jakovlevich.
Oh, okay.
Lefty from Texas. He's pretty good. He's actually really good. I'll be honest. He's really good, and we beat Johnny Goldberg and Rafa like 3-1. It was ugly, right? And Rafa was not happy about it, but he was like, whatever. And one of my biggest takeaways in that match against J-Dub and Dylan was like, in that first game, we lost 11-3, and it was like quick. You know what I mean?
How did that? So that's a quick game, but how do you lose that? So it's like, what happened on that quick game?
They knew where they needed to go, and they executed it, and they put the ball in that spot, and then when they got the right opportunity, they would go for us, right? So like they had very specific dinking patterns and what they were looking for, right? And when they found something that worked, they stuck with it, right?
Wow.
So it was, and I mean, like they're coached by Mircha, right? Mircha's like one of their coaches. And I'm very close with Mircha and J-Dub and Dill. So of course, like after the game, I went up to them and talked some smack. I'm not kidding you. Kansas City was wild. I hit like a double Ernie, and I didn't hear a single clap. I didn't hear a single woo. I miss a dink in the net. Everyone's like, yeah, this guy stinks.
Wait, you're talking about against the Johns?
No, against Dylan and J-Dub in Kansas City.
So same kind of thing. They were rooting for
hardcore for Dylan and J-Dub.
Interesting.
But yeah, like the biggest thing that I noticed was like in the second game, I started to see a few more dinks. And so I was kind of going into a dink pattern now, and then I was being aggressive with my backhand flick. And they called a timeout because we made it like 6-6 in game 2. And after that, like they went back to a pattern that was working in game 1. And then after that, it was just like a steamroll again.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And so, of course, after the game or after the match, I go up to them to talk some smack, punch J-Dub in the gut a couple times. And I'm like, God, man. And I was just still very frustrated. I'm always very frustrated after the matches that I lose. You might not be able to tell if you were to come up to me, because I'll always still be nice and cordial. But like I'm always very upset and kind of hard on myself after a loss. And Mircha kind of came up to me and was like, hey, man, like, don't feel bad about it. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like we had a game plan. We had a pattern that we were going to try and attack and exploit. And as soon as we kind of saw it working in game 1, I noticed the boys were going off of it a little bit and going to, some different spots that we didn't like. And that's when you guys started to go on that little bit of a hot streak. And that's when we called the timeout. And like, I just had to remind the boys, like, hey, I don't care that you guys are up a game. Here's your strategy. Go and execute.
Wow. Hey, you forced Dylan and J-Dub to force them into a timeout, huh? Uh-huh.
Yeah. Very big thing of mine. I cherish that moment.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now, next question I have. Now, this is going to get a little bit more specific, and we have a lot to get to. But so now, Caden, top 10 and top 4. So top 10, there's a lot or around that. And then John's brothers, Dylan and J-Dub, I would say, number 2 team right now. What's the separation there? And how can someone else break through? And sorry, I mean, I know I'm talking about men's right now. We could definitely talk about the women's side too, sure, with Anna Lee and stuff like that. But since we're talking about kind of men's game, because
I mean, I study more men's, which I guess, I mean, you could say it's messed up, but I don't play women's doubles or singles, so I don't.
Fair.
I can't watch, So, but if I were to talk about, let's say, for example, right, we're talking about Ben and Colin. I'll put Dylan and J-Dub, and I'll put Riley and Matt in that conversation, right? I think believe it or not, like those guys have played either all like together against each other and just in general, and have had so many matches live streamed that I feel like it's kind of similar where like you can watch game tape and see what works and what doesn't, right? Like I think the only reason why Ben and Colin had that kind of streak of beating Riley and Matt this year was because they went back and saw exactly what they did last year when Riley and Matt did beat them and said, okay, yeah, we're not going to let that happen anymore. Here's how we're going to do it, right? J-Dub and Dylan, they've had chances where they've played really well and they've, maybe gone with their patterns and strategies. And then Ben and Colin just go, okay, let's wake the hell up here. Let's go back to what we need to do. And at the end of the day,
yeah. So what separates those 4 guys though? I would say because Dylan and J-Dub are very, I would argue, like very, very close to Ben and Colin. That's why they're matched now.
They weren't at nationals, but
yeah, they weren't at nationals. But I mean, obviously, when it comes to the closest team to them, I would say that. But what separates those 4 guys, you think, to
even the top 10?
Yeah, to the crowd.
I think honestly, it's just the constant, drilling of what they're, trying to focus on. I mean, at the end of the day, they can go out there and probably have absolutely no strategy and beat most of the guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Pure skill.
Yeah. I think for them, it's a matter of working on new things to kind of keep. Now, once they're in this big match, now how do we surprise them? You know what I mean? So, like you see Ben has been working on like a little 2-hand speed up, and it doesn't look like much, but it's filthy.
Yeah.
It's filthy, right?
Yeah.
So, like, Ben is creating things, Colin's creating things, J-Dub is creating things. I think they're all just kind of like, they know what to expect from each other.
Yeah, well, JW is finally dinking with topspin.
Right. But now it's like, how can I create something that they won't even, that they're not ready for in a way, right? So they're looking to create new shots. They're looking for new patterns that might work. I think it's still very similar with like top 10 to top 50 is like strategy and, playing the game to your strengths instead of your weaknesses. But in this case, like they know what the strengths and weaknesses are. Now they're just trying to create something new so they can surprise them a little bit more.
Yeah, so adding more shots, I think all those top 4 players are doing that.
Constantly adding.
Yeah, but along with that, it's going to come down to, so for me, like the discipline.
Yep.
Like you will not see them waver or get rattled. I think that's a big one. And then, the consistency.
I would say if you watch Dylan and J-Dub play Ben and Colin versus Ben and Colin playing me and Michael, obviously we're a round of 16. They're going to go for some things that they might not go for. The discipline, like you said, is pretty different. Like, and I mean, I would say it's also kind of like in a way, a respect thing, right? Like Ben was speeding up hardcore at me early on, and it wasn't working, and so he kind of learned eventually, like, okay, hey, we're not going to speed up to Caden because we know he's going to slide over onto his backhand side, and he's got a good backhand punch. They already know they can't do that with Dylan and J-Dub because obviously they've played him so often, right? So they have to be way more strategic, and that's why you'll hear some people say, "Oh, like I'd rather watch women's than men's," because at the end of the day, I think women's doubles is more entertaining than men's, and that's because it's way more firefights, it's way more attacks. It's whereas the guys, it's like, hey, we got to dink 2,000 balls before I want to speed up.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said there, and kind of to simplify it with you, Caden, I think, when you get those 4 guys together, you're going to see longer rallies because of the counters.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to get by or get balls by those top 4 players. So you have to be more patient. And I think that, and they only really play each other like when they play each other like that.
Yeah.
They play each other.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if that made sense, but
Sure.
But okay. So really good takes here. All right, Caden. So let's talk about, coming to, year 2024, what do you have planned? What kind of things that you expect from yourself you're going to work on? Upcoming partners?
Ooh.
I don't know. Let's quickly go over that, and then we'll wrap this segment up, and we'll talk about national results.
Yeah. Upcoming partners, probably going to be playing some with Jack, some with
Monroe.
Jack Monroe. Yep. Sorry, there's a lot of Jacks in this world.
Not Jack Sock.
Not Jack Sock. No, he's not good enough. Jack Monroe. He's a really good player, really good kid. Just love our vibe and energy, and I've told him this before, and he's told me the same thing. Is like, as long as we're playing well, there's no one on this planet who can beat us. So, be on the lookout for that. I'm also trying to see if I can play with another Arizona local. His name is Augie Guh. He is
shout out to Augie.
Also a lefty. Very good, very, very good pickleball player.
Dude, you have all these lefties.
I know. I got so many lefties, man.
Tessa.
I know.
Augie now. We got, and Jack Monroe.
Jack Monroe.
He's kind of ambidextrous. But.
Yeah, more so lefty, though. In pickleball, that is. Everything else is right-handed. But
dude, that's weird. I didn't actually know this, but he serves right-handed.
You didn't know that?
Well, I didn't. I haven't watched a ton of Jack, but he serves right-handed, then starts playing with his left, and he drives with his left. It's just like kind of crazy, dude.
Yeah, well, you know why he does that?
Actually, I don't, but I knew when he was a 5-0, back when he was 13, I know he was playing right-handed.
No, he was playing left-handed. He hit a few more shots right-handed, but he still played left-handed.
Okay.
And that's mostly just, he was a baseball player. And he
left-handed baseball player,
right-handed baseball player, and he hurt his elbow, so he was in a cast. And when he started playing pickleball, he was like, okay, I can only play left-handed, so he just picked it up left-handed. And then when his right arm healed, he was like, oh well, I can get more power with this, so he serves with his right to get more power and spin. And then he's just like, oh, I'm more consistent with my left.
But dude, his drive is nasty too.
So
it's like
he's filthy. He's a filthy pickleball player.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. So some with Jack, maybe Augie Guh. Cool.
Maybe some with Craig. We'll see, and then maybe some with Rob Cassidy as well. But yeah, I would say those four guys. Maybe even there's this new guy on the block. His name's Roscoe Bellamy. So he's good, man, and he's. I mean, everyone.
Maybe Ben Johns. Maybe when Colin retires, I don't know.
Hey, who knows? Yeah, maybe Ben will need a right side guy. I mean, I don't mind playing the right. We'll see.
Okay, cool. So that's tournament partners for Caden. Quick question here, Caden. What should people be looking for? And again, right? Everyone's not going to be aspiring to be a pro, but if you're playing tournaments, you're really competitive out there. Where you're playing 3-5, 3-0, 4-5, 4-0, and you're playing tournaments. What should you look for in a partner? And does it matter? Like, does game styles matter? And how do you find someone that's compatible, or what's important to you? Because actually, Kenan, you've played with a ton of different partners over the past couple of years.
I have.
So if someone were to, if I were to ask someone, I think you'd be going to ask. So what do you look for? Like what are some boxes that needs to check for you?
Yeah. First thing off the bat, any person I play with has to be a positive human being.
Ooh.
So I have a rule where if I know that someone's maybe not the most positive on the court, or maybe not the most optimistic partner, and someone who doesn't want to back you up when you make a mistake, I don't even want to be a part of that. So all of the partners that I have and have played with this year, I would say, have been very positive, very great partners in terms of no matter winning or losing, we're always, high energy. We're always making sure that we're all good. It's never his fault, her fault, whatever, yada, yada, yada. I always want to have a partner that hey, I don't care if you just hit the back fence, dab me up and let's go. Next point, no big deal. If I'm not playing my best, you're going to be right next to me going, hey, I got you, man. Maybe I'll take a few more balls here. A partnership should never be one-sided. And that goes for relationships, that goes for pickleball, that goes for whatever it is, right? So my partners typically are always very upbeat, very high energy, very cool, very fun. But I also like to play with a partner who can kind of do a little bit of both, right? So I don't love having a partner who, is just a banger or who's just a dinker. I love, and I would say for the most part, like I have a game where like if I need to grind it out and dink, I'll grind it out and dink. If I need to speed up kind of early on and get in hands battles, I just want a partner there who can say, hey, you know what? Like, let's do this and let's go for it. And if it doesn't work, no big deal. We'll switch to this. Or if it does work, we'll keep going with it. You know what I mean? I also like don't mind like, hey, you know what? If as my partner, if you're maybe not the strongest in one aspect, tell me, hey, like I'm going to be doing a lot of this. Just make sure you're ready for this because I'm comfortable in either area.
Yeah.
So I've played some with Michael Lloyd, for example, right? Michael Lloyd's hands, his speed ups, his fast game is incredible, right? And one of the things that he's really developed this year is that soft game, for sure, right? But there have been times where like his fast game is so good that like I just need to be ready for all this hand stuff, right? But sometimes it's not always going to work. So we need to like look at each other and say, hey, let's slow things down and let's earn these points a little bit more, right? So I'm hoping I can find actually Michael's another one of those guys that I really like playing with because maybe we're not like the dink and drop and all that stuff, but it's very aggressive, fast play, and we've had really good games with it. We've had really good matches with it, and we've had a couple where we're like, ooh, yikes, we need to make some adjustments here. So as long as you have a partner that will make those adjustments and you can say things to them and it's not like you're making judgmental statements or anything, but you guys can critique each other and say, hey, like I think you need to work on this, I think you need to work on that, I think I need to work on this so we can better make this better moving forward. That's where a good partnership is great, is like being able to communicate with each other and say, hey, can you do this? You can do that? Perfect. Yeah. Let's do that. And be able to adapt from there.
No, I like that, dude. Really, really good. Cool. So, you said positivity was one. Obviously like knowing your partner, what kind of play style.
Yeah.
And I think obviously at higher levels, having the ability to at least adapt to your partner's game and to have more of an all-around game, right?
For sure.
When you're, especially, when you get to those higher levels, right? You got to have a soft game. And I think the attacking game is really important too.
Yeah.
So got to have some sort of variety. But I think everyone does have their strengths and weaknesses, right?
Yep.
So
everybody does.
So how does that play in to, and even at the highest level, right? We're talking about strengths and weaknesses, or everyone has their kind of like their pocket where they play really well. How do you navigate that and then dial it back down, or I don't know how you would say it, to consistency?
Yeah, it's all about communication at the end of the day with your partner. I mean, at the lower level, you see a lot of blind dates just because people don't always have partners.
Sounds like a dating advice here.
Yeah, but at the pro level, you kind of know everybody and kind of know what they're known for, so you just have to find someone that, you either think you can do well with based off of your game and their game. You definitely, you can't get away with just saying, oh, hey, like I'm a really good dinker. I can play the soft game, but my partner is a really good banger and like he likes the fast game, but he can't dink. Like at the pro level, if they know you're a good dinker and they know he's got good hands, they're just going to mix it up. They're going to dink to him and then they're going to speed up at you, right? So you need to have kind of best of both worlds where like, you can do both. You can, agree on a strategy or, slower part of the game or a faster part of the game based off of you guys and what you guys think you're better at together.
Yeah, no, really good stuff.
Wait. Hold on. You ready? Let's see if you can hear this. Oh, that's pretty good.
Got the chiropractor in town here. All right.
Dr. Caden.
Dr. Caden. Okay. So really good stuff, Caden. I think that, so you listening, leave a comment below if any of that stuff was helpful. I think that hearing some insight from from touring pro, and also kind of like just getting some insight on what you're working on.
Yeah.
You know, what you kind of see at the highest level, I think is really cool. So really quick, now let's hop right into nationals. Now, now nationals just ended, obviously.
Literally yesterday.
The results are in. Let's see what else. Nationals have ended. It's the last tournament, big tournament of the year.
Yeah.
Right. And we're gonna go through kind of the results and things like that. We have some cool stuff to talk about, but before that, the new format, Caden. I just want to quickly, okay, because we might be pushing it here, but the time here, but quickly. So it wasn't traditional. So we had different people playing singles, mixed, and gender doubles on the same day.
Yep.
So why was that? How did it affect the pros? Just any quick things you want to say about that.
So they did a qualifier for all of it on Tuesday, and then starting Wednesday was basically round of 32. Thursday was round of 16. Then Friday was round of 8. Then, quarterfinal, and then, quarterfinal, semifinal, and then obviously championship Sunday each day. And I know, I mean, obviously being someone who's either logical or maybe, from a business standpoint, it's clear why they did it, and it makes perfect sense. As a pro, it sucked, personally. I did not like the new format. So
most of the pros, even the ones that you talked to, Kaden, you think that the majority of them were not in favor?
I would say a majority of them weren't huge fans of it. And I mean, look at the tournaments. I mean, the tournament was running all damn day, But it makes sense why they did it, right? Like I said, from a business standpoint, think about it, right? If I'm selling you a ticket to go to this tournament, and I'm giving you just a day. Let's say I give you a ticket to Thursday.
Yeah.
If you go to any other PPA, I give you this ticket to Thursday. It's just singles. You only get to watch singles, right?
Sure.
If I give you this ticket to what we just did this last week, hey, you might see some singles, you might see some mixed, you might see some men's. And so that's what's going to drive ticket sales as like, hey, get this weekly pass and save $200 instead of just buying each day separately, right? Oh, well. Okay, well, let me think about it. Sure, it's an $1,000 ticket for the whole week, but hey, I can watch all these different.
Were they that expensive?
I don't know. I'm just saying, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm just saying, right? But like, I can get this ticket for all 5 days, and I can see mixed, singles, and gender dubs on any day of the week.
Sure.
If I get that weekly pass, I'm going, well, maybe I won't go to mixed doubles, or maybe I won't go to singles because I don't play a ton of that.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? I don't watch a ton of that. I just want to watch this day, right? So now you're selling 5 days of tickets and 5 days of action compared to just one event on one day.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
So it's cool. I think like if I were the PPA and I was USA Pickleball, I would say, okay, hey, like that really does make sense, and I'm sure they did really well in those aspects. But as a player, it did kind of suck, only because like I was supposed to play mixed as well, but I ended up having to give my mixed partner away to a buddy of mine because of Tuesday night pickleball. So I only went.
Gave her away, huh?
Yeah, I did. I wasn't very happy about it. I had to drop her. I was gonna say drop her, but that wouldn't be correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, really cool, man.
Yeah. So I only played men's, and I played one match at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Jeez, man.
And the guys I played were Hunter and Yates Johnson. They're great players, and they had been playing all day, and they were super comfortable, and I felt like I was playing my first match of the day.
Yeah.
That's
tough. Well, interesting. Comment below if you kind of like that format, if you were there or you were watching on the live stream, nationals. Yeah. Let's see here. We got some
fun little picks.
Yeah, another thing that you got to do, Caden, is
I got to broadcast.
Yeah, you got to commentate some matches. So how was that? There's Mark Renison. Shout out to Mark.
Third Shot Sports.
How did you get invited to do that? And how did that go?
I was actually just in the bathroom, and I ran into an old buddy of mine.
In the bathroom is where you get asked to commentate.
That's right. That's right. But I was just in the bathroom, and I saw like an old buddy of mine who I had met back in the day at Bobby Riggs, and I guess had moved to Texas, and we were actually like playing.
Wait, who is it?
Ben Paquette.
Oh.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah. Well, I
guess
know.
he runs that Brookhaven club. He runs that Brookhaven club now. And so I guess he was kind of helping out with little things here and there. And he was asking me, we were just kind of catching up in the bathroom and whatnot. And then he was like, hey, like, would you have any interest in broadcasting tomorrow? And I was like, oh. It's like, what? He was like, yeah, the PPA's been asking me for kind of some different types of, commentators and whatnot. And I know you're super comfortable talking about pickleball and whatnot. So
cool. That was your first time broadcasting for PPA, yeah?
Second time.
Oh, okay.
I broadcasted for PPA a while ago, but I haven't since they've tried to be a little bit more official. So it was a good experience. I actually really enjoy broadcasting. I actually wanted to go to college for communications and try and do broadcasting.
Yeah, you told me that on just sports in general.
Yeah, I would love to be a broadcaster for baseball, basketball, football, maybe not hockey, definitely not soccer, but pickleball too. So,
cool.
Yeah,
well, that's cool.
It was a really fun experience.
Yeah, you got to actually broadcast some Chris, what's his name? Versus Colin Chick?
Yeah, I got to do the quarterfinal matches for singles.
Yeah,
and that was Annalee in Georgia, Annalee Waters and Georgia Johnson. Yeah. I did Chris Hayworth versus Colin Schick.
And then you said JW and
I started the day with JW Johnson and Christian Alshon. Cool. Christian Alshon was throwing hissy fits on the court, man. He's tossing his paddle.
Was he? Okay.
I was like, damn, bro. Chill.
Right. Well, let's see. Let's just real quick picture.
Oh, hey.
Let's see who this is here. Who do we got? In I don't know. It looks like he has a headset on.
Do you know who that is?
Oh, I know who it is.
That's Thomas Wilson, folks. There was a players' lounge for us pros, which was really nice. And Thomas had his little headset on and everything like that. I don't know why I took a picture of him, but I just kind of remember seeing him there. And Thomas is a really, really great dude, and we have some funny talks every now and then. But I saw him just sitting there, and I was like, wow, this guy looks like
a data
analyst. He's selling insurance right now. Hi, my name is Thomas with AAA Insurance. Do you have a good rate right now? So I don't know. Like, that's the first thing that came to mind. So I took that picture of him and obviously showed it to him later and joked around. But that was my picture of Thomas.
Yeah, and Caden's going to start, hopefully, if he freaking remembers, he's going to start taking pictures with maybe some candid pictures with some of the pros.
Yeah, I'm going to start a segment on this podcast called Candid with Caden. So if you guys want to see some of that, let me know.
Cool.
I'll do it.
Yeah, so, this is just a few pictures from there. And you got some of the matches I asked you about, Caden, that was really good. You said the Johns versus Ignatowicz and Tyler Loom.
That semifinal was.
So that's one of the semifinals.
Really,
I got to go back and watch that. But
Colin got hit in the face.
Did he really?
Well, Colin got hit in the face, and they were down 2-1, and he got hit in the face, and he called like a 15-minute medical timeout, and then after that, it was all John's pickleball.
Really? Wait, Colin, what was it? What kind of ball? It wasn't the net court, was it?
No, it was just a Franklin ball. Hit him in the face.
On a speed up though, or like how?
It was on a volley. Yeah. It was pretty funny.
Oh, I'm sure Colin was so happy about that.
Oh, he's stoked. He loves getting hit in the face.
Okay, and then you said you watched live JW. The final of the men's JW versus
incredible too.
Jame.
JW is like the last guy you would think would go out and win the singles tournament, but I mean he's got that kind of stuff. So,
dude, I saw a comment or something on there, bro. That guy did it in sweats, bro.
He did do it in sweats. He also did you know
some camo sweats?
Yeah, no, that was the semi, but yeah,
I think the final.
No, he was wearing sweats, but not the cow ones that everyone roasts him for. But actually, what was I gonna say about J-Dub? But he literally looks like he like doesn't care, And he rolls out of bed and he just goes out there and he dominates. But the cool fact that I was going to say was this is the first time at nationals since 2016 that someone other than Ben and Tyson have won nationals.
Sure. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
2016, so 2017, 18. Yeah, that's.
You know who 2016 was?
Kyle Yates.
Marcin Ross.
Oh, Marcin. Shout out to Marcin. If you don't know Marcin, you need to do some pickleball history.
Mm-hmm.
He's a legend of the game as well.
History Channel Pickleball Edition.
Yeah, there you go.
Marcin Rozpetsky, the GOAT before goats were goats.
Goats. And then let's get to, let's see. Maybe the Ben John upset of the tournament, maybe?
Yeah.
Ben Johns. Now, he just missed the Triple Crown. We'll talk about that. So
I wouldn't say just missed. He missed the singles one by a pretty
You're right. So,
large
just
margin.
missed as in 2 out of 3. Okay. Right. Obviously, he won mixed. We'll get into that. He won men's. But the singles, he lost to Chris Hayworth.
Hayworth, yeah.
Yeah, and he obviously... that was a big upset there. Now, Chris Hayworth playing with the new Gearbox Pro. There's obviously there's going to be some. I know there's already has, and there's going to be more controversy on that Gearbox paddle. But I don't know. Did you watch that match, or what do you do?
No, I didn't. It was inside. It was the day it was raining, so I didn't watch that match.
Yeah, and then the other fun fact, right? It's like every time it's indoor. For whatever reason, mental, whatever now, I mean, Ben just does not play his best. I mean, he got beat for the very first time. I don't know if you remember this a long time ago.
Indoors
against
Utah.
Against
J-Dub.
Well, no, it was against Tyler too. Tyler Leung, I think. That's what I remember.
Oh, interesting.
But either way, yeah. So obviously, what happened? Did it rain
It rained
day?
On Thursday.
Wow, and they just moved it to an indoor place.
Moved it inside.
That's a pretty quick. Wow,
that's pretty wild. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that was pretty impressive. I mean, and in all honesty, I'm not the biggest fan of playing in Texas, but I much rather would have played at Indian Wells. That's just me, but
yeah, maybe the weather might have. Was it hot?
No, it was kind of warm on Wednesday. Every other day, no, it really wasn't.
Okay,
it's kind of cloudy and.
All right, nice.
Yeah, gray skies.
Yeah, so we'll keep update on. Obviously, we're doing paddle reviews on our channel. We reviewed the Gearbox Pro. That thing is pretty powerful, and
pretty wicked.
We'll see. We'll obviously see what happens with that. But one of the things I was gonna say is that because all the top players are already kind of locked into deals.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
it's true.
Who is going to kind of be the next Gearbox sponsor, and how much does that affect, right, the field? If this Gearbox is going to be legal and to stay, I mean, when it comes to hand battles and stuff, Caden, you haven't really hit with it, but what I can tell you, testing it a little bit and hearing, obviously, I mean, that thing comes off. It comes off pretty
yeah,
pretty
I know this. If I have to play someone with that paddle, I'm probably going to be a little bit worried, and I'm probably going to hit to the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
Secondly, I think there are going to be there are a lot of pros, I will say, that are still either unsigned or kind of on deals that aren't that great. So I think you'll see kind of some guys kind of come into the game and just start using that paddle and probably could upset some people or have some good wins on players that otherwise they wouldn't, without that paddle.
Yeah.
Because I have been told by multiple people that like people who have switched to that paddle are like completely different players just because like their hands are so heavy. So
yeah, and that's and I don't know,
have to hit with it a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with that. But okay, so we got that. And then I guess we could just hop right in and talk about the or here, let's just get right into this little article. I mean, this is USA Pickleball Champions Crown, that historic BioFreeze. I don't even know what is I don't know.
BioFreeze is like, I think it's like a kind of like icy hot, got it. But better for you.
Yeah, BioFreeze USA Pickleball National Championships. So 16-year-old phenom Annalie Waters records 20th triple crown. I mean, that's a lot of freaking crowns, I'll tell you that. And defends all 3 national titles in front of sold out championship court. Dude, from the view, one interesting thing I saw, I mean, there was actually a lot of spectators at this one.
There were a lot of spectators.
And with that drone shot, kind of was cool.
It's pretty cool.
But obviously Annalie Waters, look, it even says here, like, you know, roughly 10,000 people enjoyed the pickleball live. So that's a lot. Obviously Annalie won singles. We'll start with women's doubles, then mixed with Ben. Women's with Catherine. And then in the singles, she came down 4 match points, losing against Catherine, actually, and came back and won it.
Yeah.
Triple crown again. I mean, you didn't see that match live, did you?
No, but I watched some of it on TV, and it's pretty incredible what Annalie is doing. Like, I mean, obviously people have their opinion on her. I only know her as, you know, my mixed partner and my friends. So, I mean, just to see what she's doing, I mean,
Yeah, if you guys didn't watch that episode, one of Annalie's first mixed partners was Kaden Nemeth. And you guys are actually undefeated still.
We are undefeated. I mean, I know she's not undefeated with Ben, so I don't know what she's doing, but, you know, that's just me.
So,
I'm not salty about it. No.
What were you saying? What were you saying though?
No, but I mean, she's so dominant as an athlete right now, and it's like so impressive to see that, like, you know, and she's doing it at 16. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I think there's going to be more talent that comes into pickleball year in, year out, but Annalie is just so clearly dominant compared to everyone else. Yeah. You know, like her mental toughness, her physical toughness, it's just like, it's insane to me that she is doing all of this at 16. You know what I was doing when I was 16?
What were you doing, bro?
I was in school. I was in high school. I was a sophomore in high school. I was playing baseball thinking that I was going to be a baseball player.
I was not making $1 million a year.
I was not making
I still don't do that.
Any money. I drove a Honda Fit.
Ooh, I drove a Mazda 626. Comment below if you know what that is.
Yeah, comment below if you know what a Honda Fit is. All right? My 80-year-old grandma drives a Honda Fit.
I'd actually take a Honda Fit over my Mazda. But anyways, here we go. So JW versus Jaume Martinez Vic. That was a really good match.
Didn't you say they put James on there and you were mad confused?
Yeah. So every other tournament, obviously JW Johnson. If you didn't know JW's real name is James. So what's the W?
Wilson.
Is it?
I think so.
See, you don't even know. Okay.
I know. I'm his brother too. That's
all right.
Messed up.
All right. So JW Johnson.
Maybe it's Winner. James Winner Johnson. James.
Yeah.
James Wawona Johnson.
Yeah.
James.
It's all right, man. We gotta ask him. You can send him a text.
Probably Wawona. You want me to ask?
Just say hey. Let's see. Okay, comment below if you think JW is gonna answer Caden's text before we close the pod, and we're gonna close it pretty soon. So say hey, we're doing a pod, JW, and we need your middle name, or what does W stand for? Okay, comment below. All right. Okay, so I saw that match, but Jaume is obviously a beast in singles, and he's just gonna keep getting better and better with that 6-0 paddle. Women's doubles, we talked, dude, the Brasha sisters.
Mm-hmm. A lot of good wins this weekend,
dude. They must. I mean, I didn't follow women's. I mean, I didn't follow the whole tournament that much, but specifically women's, I didn't follow it that much. But man, they must have beat great teams to get to.
They did. They beat Paris and Jesse in the quarters. Then they beat Jade Kawamoto and Anna Bright in the semis. So really, really impressive.
Yeah, and obviously Annalie and Catherine kind of took the cake there in straight sets. But let's see. Oh, here goes a quote. Oh, I like how they do these quotes. From Catherine.
Oh,
a lot of the time, I'll just move the ball around until she puts it away. Peranto revealed. Well, sometimes I'll start speeding up speeding it up first, and then she just can clean it up. And that is the definition of playing with Annalie Waters, pretty much.
Wait, can I read the one as JW?
Oh, is it JW?
Here we go. I'm gonna read it as JW.
All right, here we go.
I kept on going for my drives for the most part, and mixing up the shots a little bit with a couple more drops, and tried to get into the kitchen more. Yeah, it's really fun, and the crowd was into it the whole time. What do you think?
Oh,
Is that J-Dub?
that was really good.
Okay, thanks.
You know what? We should actually pull it. I want to see how that actually went and how close that was. That's hilarious. Okay, so and then we got Ben and Colin, obviously against what we just talked about, top 4 players in the world, against Dylan and JW. Again, 3-game sweep there. Let's see. Ben and Colin for their 26th career title together, 2nd consecutive national championship. Okay, so what does Ben say? It's been an adverse week. Ooh, throwing a little adversity there.
Ooh.
Mentally recovering, resetting, having the confidence to come back after adverse events. I don't know. I gotta get the definition of adverse, but interesting. Adversity, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So go ahead.
What an interesting response. But,
Yeah. All right, Annalie and Ben. I don't even know, Caden. Do you know the last time they lost? They've lost once this year, right?
Ooh, once or twice. All I'll tell you now is this is the first time they've won nationals together, because Annalie played with Riley last year.
Sure.
So this was, I'm sure, just kind of the cherry on top for the two of them.
Yeah, but when it comes to a team that has the most winningest percentage, it's probably Ben and Annalie by bar none.
1,000%.
But so Anna Bright, James Ignatowicz, three games again. Let's see. She's incredible, John says, of the Waters. Just a phenomenal player, person, and certainly teammate. And that's talking about Annalie Waters. Obviously, she got the Triple Crown again. And then we already talked about Annalie Waters and Catherine. So, partners on the court, and also some adversity in singles, right?
Yeah, and there was a point where like 7-7. Annalie had kind of come back, and I think there was a call that Catherine had called out that Annalie didn't really like, and I guess Catherine, out of like friendship, was gonna be like, oh well, hey, if like you saw it and you take it, so she like hit her the ball back, and Annalie was like, no, I don't want it.
Wait, so explain again.
Basically, there was like a little bit of a call that like Annalie didn't really like. Supposedly was in, but Catherine called
it out, yeah.
And I guess Catherine, like, out of good sportsmanship and like friendship, was like, hey, like if you saw it in, like take it.
Oh.
And Annalie was like, oh, that's really sweet. I don't want it.
Oh, okay, all right.
And
So it gets a little chippy on the.
It can get a little chippy,
especially in dude, singles is so demanding. I think.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're already putting so much more energy than doubles, and then it's like anything can take you. Like I know how it is because I practiced some singles, and you get tired and. Yeah. So, anyways, here we go from AL. I know Catherine is a great player, but I also know that I could come back when I'm down. Shared Miss Waters. I was just remembering that, and all the times I had to come back before. Gosh, and we just talked about AL just being so dominant, but yeah, putting aside everything else, we already know that obviously physically and skill wise, but the mental, I think, right?
And in singles too.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to it's her age, right? The mental ability, I think at that age, that's what's pretty incredible. I think more so than the skill, more so than kind of, decision making.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So that's kind of the wrap up of nationals.
Damn, I haven't gotten anything back from J-Dub.
Oh, okay. So comment below. I don't know. We may or may not do a prize, but comment below if you know JW's middle, or what does W stand for besides winner? Okay. Caden's calling J-Dub. Okay, we're gonna live call on the air.
What's up?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're live.
Okay, just driving, buddy.
Oh, you're driving, huh? I didn't know you could do that.
What's up, my little Asian friend?
What's is the W and JW Wilson?
I was actually thinking you were joking about that when you texted me.
Oh, that's why you didn't respond. Wow, you're so kind. No, I'm serious. What is it? What is
I
it?
was doing something.
Is it Winter?
Walter.
Walter. Damn it! I knew it.
Whoa.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Dang it.
Tell him we're live.
All right.
I'm surprised you forgot my name.
Well, I love you sometimes, so I forget things sometimes.
Yeah, there's no coming back from that.
No, yeah, that's my excuse. Deal with it. All right. I love you, bro. Catch you later.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, that was cool.
All right, well-
we had some answered. That, dude, Caden, that's what we're gonna do. We gotta wrap this up. I have a client coming here. Okay. Anyways, we should call every show. How about we randomly call?
might not pick up, though.
I know, but we randomly call a pro, and if they happen to answer, we just do a live call on the show.
That'd be kind of fun.
Huh? I think, and then we just interview, just like a 2-minute interview.
Do you hear what he just called? Do you hear what he called me? It's like, what can I help you with, my little Asian friend? I love that kid.
Okay, all right. Well, again, thank you for watching this podcast. We really appreciate it. We have to end the show now.
James Walter Johnson, everybody.
James Walter, baby.
Nationals singles champion.
I could see why he went to JW.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can too.
Again, if you would like to train with us, or if you want to know more about what we do, go in the description below. Kaden, any last thoughts?
Nah, we love you guys. Thanks for watching. I know this was a longer episode, but hey, a lot of juicy stuff. All right.
All right.
See you in the next one.
All right. See you guys.